There are moments in life when words reveal far more than intentions. A person may wear the right smile, hold the right posture, and say all the things you want to hear, yet hidden between their phrases lies a truth about who they are. You see, human beings often speak unconsciously. They express their inner world through casual statements, small jokes, or subtle remarks. And if you listen carefully, truly listen, you can hear their entire philosophy of life whispered between the lines. The words a man uses are not merely sounds. They are windows into his soul. Some words invite you toward growth, kindness, and safety. Others toward manipulation, ego, and control. The tragedy is that most people ignore these early warnings, mistaking red flags for passion or strength. But wisdom lies in awareness, in hearing not just what is said, but why it is said. Today I want to share with you 5 phrases that should never be dismissed when a man says them, no matter how charming he seems. Take it as a signal. Don't argue. Don't try to change him. Simply walk away. When a man says, "You're too emotional," he is not describing you. He is protecting himself. What he truly means is that your feelings make him uncomfortable. Your tears, your anger, your excitement, these are signals of life, expressions of truth. But to someone who fears vulnerability, they feel like storms. He does not know how to swim in the deep waters of emotion, so he stands on the shore and calls the ocean too much. In doing so, he avoids reflection. For to face your emotions would mean to face his own emptiness. Emotions are not flaws, they are languages of the soul. To feel deeply is not a weakness, but an extraordinary ability to experience the fullness of life. Yet in a world where control is mistaken for strength, emotion is often silenced. When someone tells you that you are too emotional, they are really saying, "I cannot handle the depth of your being." This statement reveals the boundaries of their awareness. They wish for you to shrink, to become small enough to fit their comfort, rather than expansive enough to live your truth. Those who call you too emotional fear what emotions expose, truth. Because emotion is honesty in motion. When you cry, it's not chaos, it's communication. When you express anger, it's not destruction, it's protection of your boundaries. But the person who dismisses that cannot stand in the mirror of authenticity. He would rather label your truth as drama than acknowledge his disconnection from his own heart. Such words are not guidance. They are an attempt to silence the living pulse of your humanity. Every time you are told you are too emotional, a subtle theft occurs, the theft of your voice. You begin to question whether your inner reactions are valid, whether your instincts are overreactions, whether your feelings need permission. But remember, no one grants permission to feel. You were born with the right to express, to cry, to love, to rage, to exist fully. The suppression of emotion is the slow erosion of the self. And any relationship that demands that suppression is not love, it is confinement. When someone labels your emotion as excess, they are trying to maintain control over the narrative. By dismissing your feelings, they avoid accountability. It's easier to call you too sensitive than to admit, "I've hurt you." It's easier to tell you to calm down than to reflect on their actions. This dynamic keeps power unbalanced. One person holds emotional freedom hostage, while the other learns to apologize for simply being alive in feeling. True connection cannot grow in such soil. It suffocates under the weight of denial. To walk away from such a voice is not an act of pride, but of preservation. You are not too emotional, you are emotionally awake. You feel because you care, because you are human, because your heart refuses to live anesthetized. Let no one make you believe that your ability to feel is a defect. It is your strength, your wisdom, your inner compass. So when a man says you're too emotional, don't explain yourself. Don't beg for understanding. Just smile gently, recognize the smallness of his perception, and walk away. When a man says, "You owe me after all I've done for you," he is not speaking from love. He is speaking from ownership. What he once called generosity now becomes a weapon. Every act of kindness turns into currency, every favor into a chain. True love gives without memory and receives without expectation. But control keeps score. This statement is not gratitude. It's a quiet reminder that you are in his debt. And debt, in emotional form, is the softest kind of prison a person can build around another. When someone gives with strings attached, it is never a gift. It's a transaction, disguised in tenderness. In the beginning, it may sound like devotion. He helps, supports, protects, but later, those same gestures are recited like a list of obligations. "I was there when you needed me," he'll say, not to comfort you, but to remind you that you are beholden. This is how affection turns into leverage. The love that once felt like freedom becomes a subtle form of manipulation, where every act of care has a hidden price tag, waiting to be paid in obedience or silence. Such words reveal an imbalance, not between two hearts, but between power and vulnerability. The one who says, "You owe me," sees love as a contract, not a connection. He doesn't want a partner. He wants proof of his worth through your compliance. He fears losing control, so he frames his giving as sacrifice. He builds his identity on being the one who did everything, and if you ever try to reclaim your independence, he feels robbed. In truth, his love was never unconditional. It was a performance seeking applause. The tragedy of this pattern is how easily it entangles good hearts. You begin to believe that gratitude means submission, that love must be earned again and again. You feel guilty for wanting space, guilty for saying no, guilty even for your own freedom. But gratitude does not mean servitude. You can appreciate what someone has done for you without surrendering your self-respect. When kindness turns into coercion, the only way to honor it is to walk away. Not with anger, but with clarity. For love should liberate, not enslave. This kind of manipulation often hides under the guise of emotional maturity. He will say, "I've done more for you than anyone else," as if care were a competition. He may remind you of all his sacrifices, not to connect, but to control. This is not love speaking, it is fear. Fear of being irrelevant, fear of losing importance, fear that his worth depends on your dependency. In truth, love asks for nothing in return. It gives because giving is joy, not because it demands repayment. When someone measures their giving, they are not loving. They are investing in ownership. And to walk away from such a voice is to reclaim your sovereignty. You do not owe anyone for being loved, helped, or supported. True love leaves no debt. It multiplies through freedom. The one who truly loves you would never remind you of what they gave because they never kept count. So when you hear the words, "You owe me after all I've done for you," understand the hidden message. I never gave freely. Smile softly, return the gift of awareness to yourself, and step away. For love that demands payment was never love at all. When a man says, "No one else would put up with you," he is not complimenting you, he is planting a seed of doubt. This phrase, often whispered in moments of tension, is designed to make you question your worth and your freedom. It suggests that love is scarce and conditional, and that you are lucky to tolerate his flaws, when in reality it is you who is enduring manipulation. Dependency is not built in grand gestures. It grows quietly, nurtured by statements that make you fear abandonment more than injustice. The danger of this phrase lies in its subtlety. At first it may seem like concern or honesty, but it is a quiet form of control. By implying that others would reject you, he positions himself as your only option. Your choices shrink, not because your options are limited, but because your perception of reality has been skewed. Dependency thrives when one's confidence is undermined, and the statement, "no one else would put up with you," is a seed designed to suffocate self-trust. Manipulation often wears the mask of care. He may say these words during a disagreement, framing them as a warning. "If you leave, no one else will love you like I do." On the surface, it can sound affectionate, even protective. But beneath it lies the attempt to make your freedom feel dangerous, to make your independence appear foolish. True love encourages growth and freedom, even when difficult. Words that suggest scarcity of love or options are rarely reflections of reality. They are reflections of insecurity seeking to dominate. The effect of this phrase is cumulative. Repeated over time, it chips away at confidence, leaving behind a nervous, anxious dependence on his approval. Decisions are no longer made from clarity, but from fear. Fear that leaving will result in loneliness. Fear that no one else will see your worth. The irony is that the person who plants this seed often underestimates your strength. Independence cannot be destroyed by words. It can only be overshadowed temporarily until the truth becomes clear. Recognizing manipulation is the first step toward freedom. When you hear "no one else would put up with you," pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this true, or is it a mirror of his fear? Is he speaking from love, or from a desire to keep you dependent? The truth is that love multiplies. It does not hold hostage. Your worth is inherent, not conditional on another's patience or tolerance. Statements that attempt to cage your self-esteem are not expressions of devotion. They are expressions of control disguised as concern. Walking away from such words is an act of reclaiming power. You do not need someone to put up with you to validate your existence. The world is full of people who will see your brilliance, respect your boundaries, and cherish your independence. The man who plants seeds of doubt is not protecting love. He is protecting control. Recognize the hidden intention, breathe, and step into freedom. For the one who truly values you will never reduce you to dependency. They will celebrate your wholeness without fear. When a man repeatedly says, "I didn't mean it like that," he is not clarifying, he's avoiding. These words act as a shield, deflecting responsibility and shifting focus from the impact of his actions to the intention behind them. While intentions matter, they do not erase consequences. Emotional harm is real, whether intended or not. The repeated use of this phrase signals a refusal to confront discomfort, a subtle evasion designed to preserve ego rather than repair trust. It is an escape route, not an apology. Accountability is the cornerstone of healthy relationships. To acknowledge mistakes is to show maturity and respect. Yet when someone continually hides behind, "I didn't mean it like that," they are refusing growth. Each repetition diminishes the possibility of connection, replacing dialogue with deflection rather than the discomfort and the illusion of innocence, rather than the discomfort of responsibility. Over time, the listener is left questioning their own feelings, doubting whether they are justified in expressing hurt. This pattern erodes confidence and fosters imbalance. Repeated denial of impact is a quiet form of gaslighting. By focusing on intent rather than effect, he implies that your reaction is unreasonable, that your emotions are exaggerated, that the harm you feel is invalid. This tactic shifts the burden from the speaker to the listener, subtly suggesting that reconciliation is contingent on your understanding rather than his accountability. True respect would acknowledge the consequence of words and actions without defensiveness. When someone continually excuses themselves in this way, it signals that their priority is self-preservation, not connection or healing. This phrase also masks a deeper unwillingness to change. By framing missteps as unintentional, he avoids examining behavior, patterns, or attitudes that cause harm. Reflection and growth require discomfort, the admission that words or actions were hurtful, regardless of intent. The repeated, "I didn't mean it like that," is a barrier to self-awareness, keeping him from confronting his flaws. The listener, on the other hand, is expected to absorb repeated offenses without retaliation. Over time, this imbalance fosters resentment, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. Listening closely to this pattern reveals the underlying message: control. When someone repeatedly absolves themselves of responsibility, they maintain power over the narrative. Your feelings, perceptions, and interpretations are subtly minimized, while their good intentions are amplified. This dynamic keeps you in a reactive state, always adjusting, always explaining, always forgiving, while the speaker avoids any meaningful introspection. Love and respect do not require escape, they demand engagement. Repetition of this phrase signals a boundary violation, a refusal to honor the emotional reality of another person. Walking away from this dynamic is an act of self-respect. You are not obligated to excuse repeated evasion, nor to tolerate a pattern that denies your emotional truth. Accountability is not optional in healthy relationships, it is fundamental. When words repeatedly serve as shields rather than bridges, it is a sign to step back. Recognize the difference between intent and impact, and honor your own experience. The person who genuinely cares will confront their mistakes and grow. The one who hides behind, "I didn't mean it like that," is protecting ego, not love. Walk away and reclaim your emotional clarity. In life, words have power far beyond their surface meaning. They can build trust, cultivate love, or quietly plant seeds of control, doubt, and dependency. When someone repeatedly dismisses your feelings, attaches conditions to their care, suggests you are lucky to tolerate them, or refuses accountability, these are not signs of love. They are patterns of manipulation. True connection honors your emotions, respects your boundaries, and allows freedom without fear or guilt. It is not built on debt, dependency, or excuses, but on mutual respect, understanding, and integrity. Recognizing these patterns early is not judgment, it is wisdom. Each phrase we explored is a reflection of character and intention. When a person tells you that you are too emotional, they reveal discomfort with authenticity, a fear of vulnerability, and an inability to honor your inner truth. When they claim you owe them after all they've done, generosity is twisted into leverage, love is measured like currency, and freedom is subtly restricted. When they suggest no one else would put up with you, they sow fear and dependency, diminishing your confidence and shrinking your choices. And when they repeatedly claim, "I didn't mean it like that," accountability is avoided, leaving emotional harm unacknowledged and connection unhealed. These words are not simply harmless statements, they are warning signs. They expose attitudes of control, insecurity, and self-interest that can erode your sense of self over time. Relationships are not meant to demand compromise of your integrity or to manipulate your self-worth. Love, in its healthiest form, does not require you to diminish yourself, apologize for feeling, or carry the weight of another's ego. It nurtures growth, encourages freedom, and affirms the legitimacy of your emotions and needs. Recognizing the difference between manipulation and genuine care is essential to living fully and consciously. Walking away from such patterns is not a failure or a loss. It is an act of courage, clarity, and self-respect. It affirms that your feelings are valid, that your boundaries matter, and that you will not trade your dignity for someone else's comfort. True connection will honor you without demanding submission. The act of leaving a relationship that undermines your worth is not rejection of love itself, but an embrace of the love and respect you deserve. It is a commitment to yourself, your emotional health, and the life you wish to live authentically. In the end, the measure of any relationship lies in freedom, respect, and mutual accountability. Words may reveal much more than actions alone, and awareness is the key to discernment. By observing patterns and trusting your intuition, you safeguard your emotional well-being. Let the clarity of these truths guide your choices, allowing you to walk away from situations that diminish you and move toward those that elevate you. Life is too short to remain bound by manipulation or fear. Thank you for listening, for opening your mind to reflection, and for valuing your inner truth. May you find courage to honor your emotions, wisdom to recognize your worth, and freedom to embrace relationships that nurture your growth. God bless you, and may your path always lead toward respect, love, and authenticity.